Vietnam has been a part of my life in one way or another for more than half a century. It's hard to believe. That's more than 2/3 of my life. As a young Army officer, I volunteered in 1965 to serve in Vietnam, and I got a polite letter back from the Pentagon saying, "Sorry, there's no openings in Vietnam right now. Don't call us, we'll call you." I guess I was a little bit ahead of the curve, but that was about to change. In 1966 and 67, I served with the South Vietnamese 7th Infantry Division in the Mekong Delta at a time when there were no U.S. forces south of Saigon. I returned to Vietnam in 1968 as a journalist, as a special correspondent for the Ritter newspaper group. And then after graduate studies in journalism and Asian studies at Columbia, I joined the Associated Press and served in the AP's Saigon Bureau in 1970 and 71. In the early 1980s, my wife Susan and I taught English to Vietnamese and Hmong refugees here in Minnesota. And in the 1990s, I was involved in a humanitarian aid project that took medical equipment and supplies to both the north and the south of Vietnam. In 1995, I worked with Le Van Bang, who was to become Vietnam's first post-war ambassador to the United States, to write an op-ed about reconciliation that appeared in the Chicago Tribune on the 20th anniversary of the end of the war. I took my daughter Joan to Vietnam with me when she was 10 in 1993, and I took Susan to Vietnam with me for the first time in 2010, when I was going back for a journalist's reunion. A few years ago, we were invited to a Vietnamese wedding here in St. Paul. The groom was one of 3 kids of a family to which Susan and I had taught English when they first arrived in Minnesota from Vietnam 35 years ago. That son is a medical doctor now, and so are both of his brothers. And in recent months, I've been working with Vietnamese and Hmong kids, the children of immigrants, to help them write their college application essays. So yeah, I guess you could say Vietnam has been an important part of my life.